We're gonna change it up a little bit because Facebook's not connecting. So we're gonna be live on YouTube. I just have to post the link, I guess.
Gotcha.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Wait, did I mute? Oh no, I think Christian's.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Okay. I guess we'll just get started since I was trying to get it to work on Facebook and it just wasn't really working out for me. But we are live on
First time ever live on YouTube.
First ever live on YouTube. I would love it to be live on Facebook, but it's just not cooperating with me tonight. So, welcome in to the Over the Cushion podcast here on YouTube now. This is a Rip the Lip production, I guess we could say. And, we're talking about different types of dirt track racing and mainly small cars. We talk about some of the big cars as well. But for the most part, like slingshots, 600 micros, stuff like that. And we have a very special guest today. We have the 2022 Action Track champion, Christian Bruno. How we doing, man?
Good, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you being here and taking the time to come talk to us a little bit and, just kind of pick your brain about different stuff and ask you some questions. But for those who don't know you, if you just want to introduce yourself a little bit and, what you do and where you come from.
Yeah, my name's Christian Bruno. I run mostly micros around the PA area. I haven't really done much traveling this year. And got a family-owned sprint car that we run with the USAC East Coast Series. We have been having some success with that this year. It's pretty fun, but mostly do micro stuff in PA, and yeah, been pretty successful this year. Been very, very thankful for the opportunities I've had to run for Kenny Groff and Chris Schneider this year. We've been getting the car really fast, so yeah.
That's awesome, man. I mean, I didn't realize it was a family-owned car. That's crazy. Those are some serious machines and serious money that definitely goes into them. So I'm guessing the success from the 600 definitely kind of rolled into is maybe some sponsorships or something to help along those lines probably.
Yeah, sprint car definitely is expensive, but that's why we don't really race it as much. Try to win some money in the micro and help fund the sprint car program, but yeah.
Awesome.
And you ran Linda's Nationals this past weekend. I saw you picked up a heat win. What ended up happening in the feature?
In the feature, we started fifth because we won. So I timed fifth, won the heat race, so that put us fifth, and we were rolling good. I kind of got a bad start. Wasn't too happy with myself, so I was kind of beating myself up. We had a red flag, and I was kind of upset with myself. So tried to kick on the high boosters and kind of made contact with Hartman. Not really significant, but just kind of rubbed, and it happened to strip out the right front control arm.
Wow.
On the spindle, so that came off, and I was lucky not to really flip the car or anything. Came off going into 3, and I kind of was able to get it slowed down, but that kind of sucked because I was just found a line going into 1, and it felt really good, and the car was finally coming around, but that kind of sucked. We were there all weekend, and I actually felt pretty confident after the practice. We felt pretty good and made a bold tire choice, and just didn't work out.
That's a crazy track. I mean, I've only been there once, but it looks really, really fast. Like, did eventually, the time I was there was really dusty and dry, and it was only one lane. This weekend, did it actually turn into multiple lanes, and you can kind of run the cushion or down the bottom?
Friday night it was it was real heavy and rough, which I was surprised. Usually Linda's is pretty known for being dry and slick, but I mean, I like the tacky rough tracks. I feel like you really gotta put like your car in. I guess you kind of gotta find the smoothest line. And so Linda's sometimes that'll happen. Like it'll be rough one night, real heavy, and then they'll kind of not really want to water it the next night. So on Saturday it was back to normal Linda's, which is good in its own aspects. So I mean, the feature I heard was all right, but I definitely liked Friday night better. I really like wet, rough tracks, which is not a lot of people don't like that. So
Yeah, I'm also a fan of when the track's, just rough enough, not out of control where you can't even where you can't hold a line rough, but yeah, when it has a little bit of grip and there's multiple racing lines because of where bumps form up or the cushion is.
yeah, but that place definitely is fast because I know you like I'll be watching racing there. I'll be watching heat races before me, and I like you kind of get nervous because you're standing like on the ground level, and I mean they're rolling going into turn 3. So I mean it's pretty cool, and that place is unique. It's like a big. You don't really get straight there. You're kind of always turning and getting sideways, and it's really about momentum and really finding that line and getting your car good, so you can just kind of roll that middle and just get going.
Yeah, down the backstretch there, that if you get too far up on that backstretch wall, it just seems to like suck people in. I know in the slingshot, I've gotten close to it a couple times and almost got bitten by it.
Yeah, at my first year of micros, I ran there a lot with Ryan Greth, and like that, they're like concrete cinder blocks, and they're if you
Yeah.
hit those or you're not bouncing off of those like an action track where you have like the curved smooth walls that they will bite you. And I remember I was time trialing there probably 2 years ago for the National Open, and someone hit it in front of me, and it kind of spooked me a little bit. But you just gotta know to keep off of 2 because off of 2 pretty gets pretty dirty, so you gotta watch yourself.
Yeah, those Jersey barriers, they're nice. I mean, even the slingshots, so I've seen people ride up on them and then just
Yeah,
keep going.
definitely.
Like, I think everywhere should have the Jersey barriers. I mean, I kind of like the guardrail that Linda's has. Or not Linda's, it's, what was it, Clyde Martin?
Yeah.
Just because it gets packed
Yeah.
with that clay, and you can really just, like, you're on the edge constantly, though. That's probably the...
Ramp a midget up the fence if you want to. Yeah.
That seems about like as dangerous as you can get, but you got to run on the edge, I guess, with these machines.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess starting way back, I don't know, when you were in quarter midgets. So did you start in quarter midgets and then move your way up to sprint cars, or was there anything in between of quarter midgets and then your sprint car career?
Yeah, I ran quarter midgets since I started when I was like 4.5, 5, and I ran up to about when I was 12, and I just went right into a micro, 600 micro, and with Ryan Gress. So, some people are like, "Wow, that's a big step," and some people just go right from quarter midgets to like full size sprint cars, which is
Big cars, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
so-
like what's that transition like? Like, what can you take from a quarter midget experience to like better adapt yourself for a sprint car? Because I feel like a lot of people go from the quarter midgets, they'll go into slingshots, they'll figure out how to set up a car, and then they'll work their way up the ladder, I guess.
quarter midgets to like a micro or sprint car, you don't really get set up. I mean, you get basic setup, but I feel it's more like you as a driver, like feel and like just hitting your marks and learning to be consistent, because they don't really race the same. Quarter midgets are kind of like pavement, even on like you can run dirt or pavement in quarter midget, but both really run like pavement cars, like where you got to run behind in single file. You really got to get into rhythm, which that helps
Mm-hmm.
running a dirt car, like because you just have to be so consistent. And I know like they say there's a big debate either running pavement or dirt for quarter midgets. Like that's a big huge stir, but I mean I've had friends like Emerson Axum who like they run pavement on quarter midgets their whole life, and they can go right into a dirt car, dirt micro, dirt sprint car, and just win and be able to adapt. So I mean you just don't really take any driving cues or setup cues from quarter midgets. It's more just racing. And I mean I raced 4 cars a weekend, multiple times a weekend, so you just get a ton of laps under your belt and just learn how to race, like get good starts and when to make a pass, how to even like I have always felt really good at smaller tracks like Shellhammers and the Trenton Indoors, which is finally coming back, because like that's what we used to run with quarter midgets, like real small tracks. You kind of really got to be up on them. Like in quarter midgets,
Yeah.
you're always all over the guy in front of you. Like you're never away from him. So I feel like that really helps, and be able to just slow down and just focus on yourself and don't worry about anybody else.
Yeah, I also started in quarter midgets, and you know exactly, you're right on there. You learn a lot of honing your racecraft and that, but a lot of it doesn't transfer to bigger cars, I guess, unless you go pavement racing. But I never ran the pavement quarter midgets. Did you just run on dirt with quarter midgets, or do you run both?
I ran dirt up until I was about probably 9. I started running some pavement stuff because USAC came in. They really took over.
Yeah.
We started having like the national series, the national stuff. So I started running that, and yeah, I mean, it really helped. I mean, pavement, it was all about speed with quarter midgets, so that kind of helped you out. And I mean, dirt was just what I've done my whole life. I started out like Blackbird, which is connected to the airport,
Yep.
like Phoenixville, Keystone, all the places around here. So, and I still know a lot of people who ran quarter midgets, like Steven Schneider. I've raced with him my whole entire life. I'm still racing with him now. So it just shows you how, like, even though you can't take a lot of stuff from quarter midgets, it still helps you with like the key things, like just like good starts. Like I always feel like I can time starts good from people who haven't raced quarter midgets. You can kind of see how that's like a thing they have to learn. Whereas like when you run a quarter midget your whole life, some things it's like muscle memory.
Yeah, you could tell, at least from me. I've only been watching the 600s for like probably last 3-4 ish years, but you could tell the more confident, experienced people when they're and how they start, and either the speed they start or the starts are so big too, and it's like you get such a jump, and you can win or lose a race on those starts, it seems, because everyone's so aggressive, and if you make one mistake, they're just gonna try to slide you, or put the car where it's got to be to get in front of you. At least at some of the bigger tracks like Action Track and stuff, where they do slide a lot of people. Hamlin, they don't do too many sliders. Everyone kind of, I don't know if you've ever been to Hamlin to race, but they kind of they're up by the wall and then they shoot down to the bottom, so they're not used to people sliding them all the time. So it's a little different atmosphere, I think, and it kind of gets in like a one lane thing. But yeah, the starts are pretty crazy. So you run the what is it, the USAC East Coast sprints, right? The 360s.
Yeah.
Okay, so when did you start running those, and have you, like, you're 10th in points now? Did you like decide just to run a handful of races, or do you think maybe next year you can run like a full season and try to win like a points championship?
It's actually my 3rd year running in that series. So, and I haven't ran a full year yet. We kind of just dabble in where we don't have a micro race to go to, and so I mean, we started off the first year. We just kind of said, like, we saw that series and it's a cool series, real tight knit. So we're like, oh yeah, I'll try it out. So we got a car, got our feet wet, and then next year we went full out. We got a new Triple X, put the motor in, some new components, and went racing. Just started to learn, just get going. It's like you're learning a whole new craft, even though you ran micros and quarter midgets. You still have to learn like a whole new set of tools and stuff. So we got going, and this year it's just me and my dad. We tackled it. I think we learned a lot. We only ran about 13 times, so
that's still a good amount. That's still a good amount of runs. I mean, I even saw like Colin White dip his toes in the water a little bit.
Yeah.
Talking to him, he's like, "You just drive with your feet. You can't." He's like, "I don't drive with my hands anymore."
No, yeah,
for the most
like
part.
with the micro, you can really throw them cars around and steer them and stuff. And the sprint car, it's all about feet. If someone wrecks in front of you, you can't just steer around them, or you really gotta plan kind of your race, like where you gotta run and just get a feel, because it's hard to make abrupt changes. And I think that's what separates some of the good guys from the guys who run 10th and stuff, is like just being able to just like your driving style. You got to get over the fear, especially in anomaly stuff. You just running in real hard and just trusting the car, and like the harder you drive those cars, the better they will be.
Yeah, I've noticed that. I mean, I last like couple weeks ago I got to drive a 600 for the first time, and it was just such a, like, I've driven full size cars like sportsmans and modifieds, and it's just a different feel, because like, one, I wasn't really the car wasn't made for me, so it wasn't very comfortable, but just kind of actually getting up to speed and throwing it into a corner, I didn't realize how fast you have to get back into throttle to keep it, moving. Because like I lifted for a little too long and it looped it, and I didn't really know what to do. So Michael Nof was kind of helping me out a little bit here and there, but it's such a weird car to drive, because like you're always in the gas. It feels like.
Yeah, even if you feel like you're spinning tires, it's still faster to just be in the gas. It's just the weirdest thing, but.
Kyle, you got anything?
Yeah. Do you have any plans to run winged with the sprint cars at all?
That's funny you mentioned that. Me and my dad were just talking today about throwing the wings on, but I mean, this year we started running more winged with the micro, and like before this year I probably ran 6-8 micro races winged, and this year I ran just about a lot at Lanco this year with the wing car with Christian Bruno. So we talked about getting wings for the sprint car, but who knows? I mean, I'd like to definitely in the future, but I want to get the non-wing program down and try to get a win or be a little more consistent in that before we venture off into the wings.
Yeah, definitely. You have more of a preference to running just the wingless stuff. You just like the feel of it better versus winged, or?
Yeah, that it's said to be cheaper. I don't know how much cheaper it is. I mean, it's probably a little easier in motors. That's about it. But
Yeah, I could see that.
I mean, just this series, the USAC series, just I guess kind of sparked our interest in sprint cars, and it's nice because you're kind of around the same people. Like everyone gets real close. A lot of micro guys are moving up, so it's just a lot of family-owned. Get people just running for fun on the weekends and just trying to get better.
Yeah. Do you have any other plans to run any other big cars?
No, I always want to run a TQ for the indoor stuff, and I mean, there's not modified, of course, living out here in this area, but
Yeah,
nothing really.
definitely.
Yeah,
Nothing
it's
has
a
come
big
to.
it's a big modified area up in the Northeast here. It was funny you just mentioned TQs because Kyle just got to run was it a winged one up in
Yeah,
Connecticut
I was
or
running
something?
with the ATQ MRA this past weekend at New London Waterford. Yeah, winged, and that was my first time in the outdoor car. The TQs they're so much fun to drive. Like I can't even describe. It's just on outdoor. It's very on edge, and Waterford's like a 3rd-mile track, and that was my first time ever running anything with a wing on it, and it's a totally different feel, and you just drive so hard. It is so fast. And in the indoor stuff, it's insane because it's like my first micro race was at Shellhammers, and I thought that was fast for how tight a track it is, and
Yeah.
then you jump in the TQ and go run someplace like Syracuse like I did for my first time, and it gives you a whole new perspective of how fast you can actually go on that small of a track.
Yeah, I've been going to indoor races since I can remember. Since I was a young kid, so I've always wanted to run TQ, and that's kind of like quarter meter racing in a way, where you gotta we used to
Yeah.
run up indoors up in Ohio, Columbus indoors it was called, and they put down the Coke syrup and whatever the brake fluid, whatever they do to get the track
Yeah.
going, and
Yeah, that's the
you'd
old
run
way they
around
did it. Yep.
just wide open, and it's kind of the same. You gotta kind of move them, just hit your marks, and try to get under them.
Yeah, that's how they used to do the old track prep, and that's when it would like take huge strips of rubber and everything and really build up like all over the whole track, and it was just a mess all the time. Now it kind of peels up because they're using resin and glue basically instead of using the Coke syrup and brake fluid like they used to.
That's wild. I didn't realize they did so much track prep for those the TQs. I mean, obviously it's on like polished concrete, so they have to have some sort of grip, right? Like can't just let them go out there by themselves.
And it's still that's not even enough. You'll still light the tires up.
Oh really? Oh, they're big, like what, 700cc?
Yeah,
type deals.
700cc.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the wheelbase on them is so small. It's insane.
That's
yeah,
kind of nuts.
the indoor car, like my car is a 60-inch wheelbase. The outdoor cars are allowed to go up to 66, and like running a 3rd-mile track, I had a lot of issues with. My car is basically a purpose-built indoor car that I just retrofitted a wing on and ran it. It's like super twitchy having that short of a wheelbase on that big of a track when you're going over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, you're like sitting on the ground basically.
Yeah, we were running the fastest lap times in the TQs this weekend were equal to the midgets that were running there winged.
Yeah, I've watched a few races at Wall when they used to like Wall Stadium when they used to run the big track, and it was just ridiculous. Like they just get
Yeah.
rolling.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
that'll be. They don't run the big track at all
No.
anymore. They'll just
No.
run the infield track, and that's going to be where my next race is. We'll go to a practice day in a couple weeks here and get ready for Turkey Derby.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I used to run Wall in the quarter midget. And they
Oh,
used to
did you?
Turkey every used to be big race, and they used to have the big. We used to watch the big track and forgot about that.
Nice. Have you ever had the opportunity to run one of the USAC midgets before? I love watching them.
No.
I love
No, I've
watching
not.
them. They look nuts. Like 600s look like they're like, you know, you have your hands full, but those guys are wheeling the hell out of
Yeah,
those
they
midgets, man. I mean,
whip
they're
those things
really
around like
hammering
they're
it.
toys. Yeah. It's good
That'd be
racing too, like the BC39, and
Oh
like
my
you get them
gosh.
on a good sized track and good surface.
Yeah, and they're
I think
like,
it's
I
really
seem
good.
they're just like fearless or something because they're just sliding everybody. They don't care. Well, look, I mean, I'm sure they care, but it's just like, man, they're really just
They just
throwing
go
it in
at
there, man. Like even like the more recently, was it Thomas Mesereau was calling out Cannon McIntosh for cannonballing him.
Yeah,
Oh,
me and my dad been
that's
watching
funny.
his YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, Team
Yeah.
STV. I like watching him.
Yeah, it's good
He
stuff.
actually has really good like he's cool with giving a lot of insight with like his voiceovers and how he's doing stuff and why he's doing stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty sweet.
I'll have to check that out.
Now, as far as the 600s, I know there's like a, a handful of different motors that you can run in them. I guess they're all 600 motors, but there's a lot of different stuff. Now, Kyle knows a lot more about this because he drives one, and obviously you do as well. So I'm still pretty new to this, like actual specifics of it. But I know like Hamlin runs like an Outlaw. Well, I guess it's technically not an Outlaw. It's U6SA, and you can run like a 636. Do you have any like? Have you raced all the different types, or do you have any like preference to the type of motor? I know some people like the 636 motors, and some people don't because you know, as long as you don't get the power to the ground, there's no point in having a 636.
Yeah, out here it's the U6SA. So, I've always ran Suzuki's like in a hyper. I've really ran Suzuki's in the non-wing stuff, and a few years ago, like people, like you tell them, "Oh yeah, I have a Suzuki," and they'd be like, They kind of like look at you like you're crazy. But now they're like the new thing. So, I in the wing car for this year, Christian Ayer's wing car, there was a Yamaha in it, and there's not that big of a difference. I never ran a Cowie 636 or any of that, but I ran a Yamaha and a Suzuki, and I mean I can't. If there's a difference, it's very minuscule. But when you
Yeah.
get into the outlaw stuff, like out in Tulsa and all that, and the like Indiana races for 10,000 and 15,000, they're called 2 mils, and they're making a lot of horsepower. And it feels like a completely different car when you get into one of those. And we had one
Really?
for a few years. We just sold it actually, and
Yep.
it makes the car like complete. Like you can really run the cushion. And it's just crazy how much it brings the car to life.
So it's like in between a, I guess a power wise, a micro and a 360, or like a maybe a what's smaller than a 360,
305.
305, maybe something like that. I
Yeah,
don't
you
know
kind of
oh, sorry, go ahead.
you kind of like out west. You can like they get the huge curbs out there. It's like you walk up after the feature and it's like up to your ankle, and
Yeah.
like with those huge engines, you can really run it in there and kind of run like a sprint car, get it real sideways, just keep your wheels moving. So
That's crazy.
that's like the big thing.
Wonder what
And if
they
you
do
get
to them.
over it, I don't know what they do to them. If I was an engine guy, I wish I could tell you, but
It's gotta be like it's gotta be a purpose-built engine. Like they must get the block of a 600 or something, and then just like put the pistons and everything you can
yeah, a lot
possibly do
of
to
spy
make it
stuff.
Yeah,
They
it's
trick
all
'em out.
titanium bottom end and everything.
kind of what they do with
Cool.
the 410s. They just take that aluminum block and just put like, you know, those crazy pistons and all the rockers and all those crazy looking valves and stuff.
Yep.
That's got to be cool. Speaking of Tulsa, are you going to Tulsa this year?
I'm not. No.
No, I feel like someone should like if you so like Action Track is like the, I guess if you win an Action Track, that's like the best you can do around here. That's what it feels like, at least. Like that's like where the most competition is, and even besides Green Valley Action Track, like Kutztown is probably the biggest one. I feel like there should be contingency. Like if you win the championship, someone should be like, all right, you get a ride for Tulsa. You know what I mean? Just to like represent the track or something like that. I know a lot of people still go there, but like I think that would be a cool thing to do. I know it's like that's wild. That's something I would like to do if I, could make a bunch of money off this rip the lip thing. But I think that would be super cool. And it stinks because like you're so good, and it'd be super like such a good representation of the area to be able to go there and compete and duke it out with those guys for sure. But I mean, I'm sure it's tough to get across the country from old Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever raced at the shootout?
I actually have raced at Chili Bowl. Not Chili Bowl, Toll Shootout. I guess it would be 2019 and 2018. Like so, and I flipped one year, wrecked pretty hard the other year, so I haven't had a good hiatus. So hopefully we can get back there next year. That'd be cool. And that place is just tough. You got to be on your A game. Everyone's got to be on their A game. You're with dad or whatever crew guy, and you got to be on your A game. It's a long time in that building, and you cannot let that get to you. You got to run good every time at the track, heat race, qualifier. So there's a lot of good competition.
That's like a bunch of days in a row, right? There's like, 4 days or something? 4 days?
You kind of got to have a little luck with your heat race, and because it's passing points. So if you pull, low pill, you kind of get screwed there to start off. So, but someone's got to win every year, so it could be you.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
I definitely want to try and get out there in the next couple of years and run.
Yeah, it definitely is very cool to experience. Like, it's just the energy in that building is ridiculous, and especially on Saturday. Like, I remember watching. It's just good racing, and it's crazy. They pack them in for micros there too. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, I know how it feels when you roll out at some place like Atlantic City for the indoor stuff. I can only imagine what it's like in that building, just how big it is.
Yeah, that'd be even just to go and watch. It's got to be like such a treat to just watch, like the highest level of micro sprint racing. It's got to be crazy. I just want to go to watch. I'm not a driver. I do it for fun if I can, but
it's hard for us drivers to just go and watch a race like that.
It is.
Yeah, because you guys are like, anybody got a ride? Come on, just follow me down. Let me borrow your car.
Although I did it like the past couple of years watching it on Flow, I actually really enjoy it. They've been doing a good job. So
yeah, they
awesome.
definitely have good coverage of all that.
Yeah, I remember I probably watched every single lap of the micros there when they're there. So
I think last couple of years I did. I definitely was sitting there at work all day streaming it, getting yelled at constantly, but gotta watch.
So
going back to what you said about getting a ride, though, I want to say this from for winning the Action Track Championship. I think each year the micro Action Track Champion should get a speedster ride. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, right. I mean, and because like just the amount of work and time and like it's such a big achievement now that it's grown so much. Like you guys get what, like 40 plus cars a week at Action Track?
Yeah,
when you guys run.
Yeah,
like it ain't a walk in the park. Like you're not like just doing it for fun. Like you're out there to win, and if you win, it's like it should because it feels like the biggest racing area. Or like maybe just the track feels like the biggest one in Pennsylvania, to me. I don't know. I just like you said. I think it should be rewarded a little bit more than just a track championship. Like, hey, you did really good. Let's see what you can do in a speedster, or something along those lines. I think would be great. But with your 600, I know. I mean, you got the big, gigantic Evo injections on the side. Like, is that your main sponsor, or is that just with the car owner?
Yeah, Mike Dicely that owns Hyper, he really helps us out a lot. So he gave us the funny story about that car is we were going to run I don't know if you guys know, I believe it was a Ghoul injection, because that's what Kenny Groff always used to run in the past. And up until like 3 weeks before the season start, Chris Schneider, who works at Hyper, who like Kenny Groff owns the car, and then like Chris Schneider like runs it, he maintains it and stuff, like work on the track. Mm-hmm. He was like bugging Mike Dicely. He was like, "Are you really gonna let him run a Ghoul?" I mean, because I ran the Hyper House car the year before, and he's like, "Are you really gonna run?" So Dicely finally caved in and gave us an Evo. So we put Evo on the what's it called on the side of the car, and had a lot of success. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Evo's been running good all year. Haven't had any injection problems, which is pretty good. And yeah, I mean, it makes good
Yeah.
horsepower. And Dicey's pretty good at helping people out if they have any problems, and always, available to call a text, or he's usually at the track too. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I know you can't miss it. I mean, it's like the big Evo injections car.
Yeah.
So I was wondering like how much Hyper actually like inputs into the car, how much maybe monetarily they give you, because like I feel like that's like a big stepping stone for a lot of teams, is like you can get the car and you can run it, but until you take that step to like really focus in on the injection side, like you're gonna be like a top 10 car, not a top 3 car, at least with the injections and stuff.
And going off that, we so we started the season, and I felt like we had a pretty good package with good engine, good injection, and we were just struggling in like the first few weeks. We could not get the car to stop bouncing. Like we were just bouncing uncontrollably. Like
Really,
it's called the hyper hop. I don't know if you guys know what that's. And I mean, it was at Lanco on the opening night. I mean, I was rattling so much in there. I literally was. Well, I got in the car and I was like, my vision was blurry. Like that's how much it was bouncing around. And like me and Chris Snyder were like scratching our heads looking at this car, and like I finally say like maybe we should like change these shocks out. Like, so we got in contact with Corey Kelly out in Oklahoma, and he hooked us up with Sure-Built suspensions, and we got some FK shocks, put them on the car, and that's, I believe, the week we put those shocks on, we won Action Track Sunday, like for the opener. So that just shows you like how rewarding taking a next step, and like little teams like slowly improving their car, and like you will see results change like as you put more money into your car and just get to know your car better and just get what you like. That's the key in racing, is to just try to upgrade and just get comfortable in the car.
Yeah, like it seems like comfort is the main thing, because the only time I've ever been able to drive cars is somebody else's. I never actually had my own, so it's their comfort for them, but like I feel like a sardine sometimes. Like I can't really fit, or like my knees are hitting the frame or something like that. But like I'll take any chance I can to get behind the wheel, even if it's just for a couple laps. But I guess for this season, how many wins did you actually have at Action Track, and what was your favorite night, I guess, favorite win out of any of those?
So I had 3 this year, which is surprised me actually.
That's a lot for Action Track.
Yeah, it hasn't really, like, it just sunk in. Like I was talking to my dad today, I was like, so like how many races did we win this year? And we're talking about, I was like 3 at Action Track. Like that is, I remember a few years ago racing and like just wanting to make the feature at Action Track, and now we're able to be able to contend for the win every week. And definitely the track was really good this year. There was a lot of good races this year. I'd say my favorite win was either the second or third win. I remember I beat Colin White. There was a restart with like 3 to go, and I was able to get like the very top going fast, and I slid him into 1 on the white flag lap, and was able to. He kind of slid me back going into 3. Yeah. I was able to cross down, and it was like a photo finish. I forget the what's that called? The gap at the line. It was in the thousands. That was pretty exciting. I remember my left leg was shaking going across the line. I was like so pumped.
I actually have that clip pulled up. Yeah. I kind of want to watch it here, but I don't know if you guys can see my. You might not be able to see my screen, just because if I change it, then it changes the other thing. But it's the clip that you have on your Facebook page. But maybe if you're on a computer, maybe you could pull it up real quick, and I just want to get your mindset through the last 4 laps here with that restart.
Hopefully I'm logged into Facebook. If I am, I'll pull it up here. Because I do not know my password. So. And it's on Flow. I could probably pull up on Flow. But yeah, I'd never been so pumped up for a race. Like I was looking like, at the end of the night, I was just like, I can't believe, like everyone knows me. Like if people are close to me, like I don't really get excited. I don't know why. I'm pretty calm. Like if I get wrecked, I won't get mad. And it's like they're always like, "Are you even happy you won?" But like that night, I was pumped up. Like my interview, I was
You're like Kyle Larson. He doesn't really. I mean, he's kind of like, yeah, won, good job. All right, next. Or like even if someone dumps him, it's just like he's like, yeah, it happens.
Like today.
Yeah, like oh god, like today. Jeez.
That was
Oh,
rough.
I'm logged out of everything. Flow racing and
Oh boy. Yeah, I should have
I got
told
my
you ahead of
computer in a
time.
while.
Maybe that would have.
yeah.
I was just sitting here thinking, I was like, that would be great to watch that.
Send him the link on Discord and see if he can pull it up that way without logging in.
Oh, yeah.
True.
And then I had another good race with Steven, which I was pretty pumped up about too. I always like racing with him. He's really the end of last year, this year he's really came alive. So
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah,
I mean,
he was going well
killing
this
it.
year.
yeah, always get to beat him, I guess. We kind of have like a little rivalry going because I mean we've known each other since we were 5, so it's like a friendly outside the track rivalry on the track, I'd say.
What do you think about Action Track going to the spec tire rule?
I like it. I remember that because we would run after the speedsters, so we'd always be kind of biting our nails saying, should we run hard tire, soft tire? And I think the
Yeah.
spec tire kind of evens out the field. I mean, everyone's on the same thing, and it's a little harder tire, so you can't really
You can't
run it
touch
as hard,
yeah.
I guess you could say. And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you can run it the whole year. We've probably ran the same spec tire there. We probably used 3 spec tires the whole season there, and that's just because we ran spec tires at Bridgeport and stuff. So
Are they doing it mainly for budgeting reasons? So like the teams they're not buying so many tires, and Hoosiers are already limited, or is it kind of just let's try to level the playing field for the class itself, so it's not
A little bit of both.
yeah, I think it was both.
Yeah. I mean, I think if we're putting everybody on the same tire, you know, it's gonna even everybody out a little bit more. But yeah, I think they mainly did it just for availability reasons, because you know, start of the season when nobody could get tires, having totaled my car, I had a stack of tires just sitting on my shelf, and I could have just rolled out with like brand new tires every week that other people couldn't get because I just happened to have a stack sitting there. So making everybody go to the spec tire kind of made it so that everybody has to run the same thing. You don't have to spend the money on three different compounds to come to one race. So
yeah.
Yeah,
I put that link in there. Are you able to? Is anyone able to see it? It just goes right to his page. Kyle, you can see the link too, right?
I have it on my phone. My dad just gave me his phone to watch your Facebook, so I'll just watch it on the stream.
Okay, there'll be a little bit of a delay, but it won't be too bad. But Kyle, are you able to see it or no?
I'm trying to pull it up now.
Okay.
Let's see. Go on without me. I'll catch up.
Yeah, I do like the spec tire though.
Yeah,
I only had the one race on it, and I was terrible. That was like I don't remember if that was my first time out in the new car when I went to Action Track, but it was just I couldn't figure out what I was doing.
Yeah, it is a little bit of an adjustment because they are like crazy hard compared to even like a 20. Like you try to take your fingernail into it, you can't even.
Oh yeah.
Can't even break the surface.
Yeah, I mean, I had the tire like grooved and siped every which way, and it didn't do anything to it.
That's like another science that I brought into is like tire prep, like whether sipe it or groove it, and you can ask everybody. They have their own theories on that. So
yeah, I mean, I came from my uncle has raced modified since like the early '90s, so I kind of grew up, 5 Mile Point, Makatech, Pencan, stuff like that. So that was like every week thing. You grind the tires, sipe them, groove them. That's like
I've always just been a madman when it comes to tires and stuff
you're
like
like
that. Just
pulling out the protractor and shit.
Yeah. I mean, just how you clean the tires, what you clean them with week to week, and then when you get into divisions that you can prep tires, or with the slingshot, obviously we can't do anything to them. You just really clean them up and grind them week to week to keep them fresh. So I mean, I love being in the micro, and I can have my sipe and my groover, and get everything all cut up how I want, because you can really change. Like my last couple weeks at Hamlin, when the car started going really good, I was doing different stuff with the tires, and it really ended up paying off. So I got the video pulled up now.
Okay. Wait, one quick thing. Christian, do you have like how many knobs or adjustments do you have in your car? I have to ask this because Kyle's car looks like a goddamn Apache helicopter. There's like 15 different knobs to change every single thing you can possibly change inside the car, and I'm just like curious to what other drivers are doing.
I only have 3, surprisingly. I have a left rear rebound adjuster, and a right rear rebound adjuster, and a right rear compression adjuster.
Okay. So I have the same plus both front rebound and then a portioning valve for my rear brake, and I have a Panhard car, so I have that set up on a wing motor. So I can run that on a switch.
That's the most impressive is you have it set up on a wing motor.
I stole that from Damon Paul.
That's awesome.
All credit goes to him and his dad.
That dude, man, that kid can drive too, man. Wild. Okay, so with this video, there's 4 to go. I think, are you starting?
Yeah, I'm in 3rd.
You're in 3rd. I was even, it says 1, 2, and then 4, 5, 6 for whatever reason. Okay,
just cut me out of there.
He's not existed. Okay, so you're starting 3rd with 4 to go.
Yeah.
All right, I don't think I have sound on this. Maybe I do.
Back to green.
There we go. And you're just ripping the lip up on top for sure.
Yeah, it was gnarly.
Roselli's flying away.
So like,
I think the sprint cars were there that night, so really pushed up.
I wonder. Oh yeah, Colin moved up, but everyone was kind of on the bottom there. Did you just find something on top and you just like were just like, I'm just gonna ride this out?
Yeah, it was a twin 20 features for the sprint car, so I just got out of the sprint car, so I kind of knew, like, I was just feeling comfortable. That night I felt real good. Like sometimes you'll have some off nights in the car and you'll be like, you know, at the end of the night you're like, I just never felt good from the start. But that night I felt good in both cars, and I don't know if it was because I ran a sprint car before, but I really was comfortable, and I was just able to from lap 1 I just put it up there and car just ran good. So it happened to work out.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was super close coming down to the line. Was Colin also running the sprint car that night?
Yes. Yeah. So he was leading.
Is that the one where he flipped? Where he did that
I don't know.
endo thing?
I don't know if it was that night or the race before, but I know he was leading the feature in a sprint car, and he like messed up and tagged the fence. So he was pretty upset with himself going into that race, and then I beat him at the line, so he was pretty upset with him again. I remember that.
Yeah, there's no worse feeling in racing than finishing second. I would rather wreck out of a race than finish second, honestly.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's checkers or wreckers, man. You're going for the win. Ain't there? Like, as much as you can remember, do you think Colin made the correct decisions when he knew that you were behind him, or like once you did the first big slider with 1 to go, like where he protected the bottom? Do you think he should have just went high and tried to cross you over?
Being out front, like just especially there, I mean anywhere, you're just like a sitting duck. There's no mirrors, or you don't have a spot or anything to tell you like who's coming or what line's coming in. So, I mean, he didn't really do anything wrong. I slid and he threw a good block down the backstretch. Actually, which slowed me down a little bit. He kind of came up and cut me off, which I mean I didn't like, but I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't have liked it if I ran second. I don't really care that I won, but I mean, yeah, his car was working good in that little like middle line-ish, and I was just able to get a little bit more of a run off of 4, which I was able to get a slider going into 1 there.
That's crazy.
Then I just prayed I was able to get enough of a run through 3 and 4 to cross him up off of 4 again. So
that's wild. I mean,
yeah, rewatching it, he really just like barely gave you enough room on that backstretch to keep it out of the fence.
That's what he's got to do, right?
When I watched it back, I was like, wow, that was a perfect like move he did on the backstretch. Like that was.
It's like one of those where you're like angry in the moment and you watch it back a couple times and you're like, nah, man, I can't even be mad. I would have done exactly the same thing.
The perfect thing I was talking with him after the race, was for him to just run the top through 3 and 4, comes to the checkered, but
that's what
then that opens up the bottom lane. Yeah, but then that, as a driver, then you're thinking, oh, that opens up the bottom. How if he slides me again? And it's like a whole thing. So it's just split-second decisions. That's what happens.
When you watch it back, it's like, oh, he did that little blocking you on the back straight, but it looked like he had the momentum, but like you threw it in there and bounced off that cushion and just like got a huge run.
And when you're leading like that, you're always nervous, especially just for one last lap to change lanes like that, because you don't know if your car is going to like it or not. If he's not running the top, really, if he went to jump from the bottom to the top, he might even just make it even worse. So
Yeah, that's a big thing too. Is like he didn't run it the whole race, so do you want to risk it and run at the last corner and just hit the fence and mess up? And yeah, who knows? He's usually pretty tight, Colin. So that car, I don't know how that would have handled with the curb and stuff. So
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
gotcha. Yeah, it's like
he might even just run it in there on the top. He might have thrown it away, even
just
finishing
fence it.
second, third maybe. Could have really just thrown a couple, because I think did James end up third? He wasn't that far back. So
he ran a good race.
Roselli? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good run for him. It's such a weird question, and I know a bunch of 600 drivers, but like, how do you know when you can do a slider, and when do you feel like, say someone's a rookie and they're just learning how to drive, and they're starting to put down some good laps, like, when is it just feel knowing when to pull sliders, like especially at these kind of tracks, like where you have to be aggressive, you have to pull sliders, you have to break somebody's momentum to try to get ahead, and especially in like the midgets and stuff, like how does that, is it just kind of you're comfortable enough to just like, I'm going faster than them? Because even looking at GoPro footage like of Tanner Holmes or whoever else, it's like it doesn't look like they're going in fast enough, and they just seem to like just know exactly where their right rear is.
I hate to say this, but iRacing helps with that part of racing, like timing and like sliders. Like, believe it or not, over COVID, I did a lot of iRacing, like what other people's, and then coming at like the year after COVID, I just found like my slide jobs were like, I don't know, they just improved, because like iRacing, like you run so much, and I remember running with like Emerson Axum and Chase Randall, and like we would just run races 24/7 and just slide each other, and like the practice round before, you have like the practice before, we just slide each other for 20 minutes straight, and like you just get to know when to do them and when to not, like if you have a big enough run and stuff. And I mean, you still have to learn in real life, and like a micro sliding is different than a sprint car, of course, and you kind of still have to learn to feel.
Yeah.
But just the timing and like you knowing you have a run, like say they go to run the bottom and you've been feeling good on the top, and you really hit the top good, and you're like, you even know before you even come off the turn, like, oh, I should probably set up for a slider here, because I know I'm going to get a good run. He's probably going to try to come up, block my line. So you just like I did on Colin there, I kind of knew. I was like, he's running down low, and I'm going to try to really get a good run off of 4 here, because I know I've been better than him there the whole race. So you kind of got to capitalize, and
you almost try to set yourself up like 2 laps in advance for when you're going to slide somebody.
You really got to start thinking, especially when you're running like race for a lead against someone like Colin. Like you got to kind of calculate it out. You can't just throw it in there most of the time.
Can't just wing it. Yeah, Colin's been running those a long time, man. It's like I don't know. He's super consistent, and even when he got in the big car, it seemed like he was kind of adapted to it really quickly.
Yeah.
You raced against a lot of people. Who's your favorite sprint car driver let's say, who's your favorite micro sprint driver to race against? Like, who do you just like? You see their trailer pull in, you're like, this is gonna be a fun night.
I'd say, well, I kind of looked up to Brian Carber. I'd say Brian Carber. Like, I was just amazed at how he could just run a micro when I first started. And now, who would I like to see roll in? Probably, I like running against Steven Schneider. I feel like we run good. We're pretty much on like the same page. We both are pretty fast. I feel like we have good races. So, but I'd say idol would be Brian Carber for sure. And I've been able to run against him, and he's beat me. I beat him, and it's just pretty cool.
Does it feel like seeing certain drivers pull up to the track, you just know it's going to push you to drive better or drive harder, or just like go for the win more?
Yeah, like Alex Bright. I remember watching him win that Chili Bowl prelim night, and now I'm able to race with him in both the micro and the sprint car. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah,
you just use that motivation to try to beat him, I guess.
That's crazy. I love the 600s. I mean, I live like 2 miles from Hamlin. I don't know if have you ever been to Hamlin?
I've not been to Hamlin, no.
Okay, you should definitely take a trip up. I mean, it's a bit different because we have 2 different. So on the 3 and 4 is like a big sweeping wide turn, and then 1 and 2 is like a more of like a hairpin style. And they've added more banking and stuff, and it's definitely made the racing better. But it falls into the kind of follow the leader type racing sometimes, which is unfortunate. But for the most part, this year's been a lot better. The car count has been a little low, but when the Nolf crew shows up and Colin White was there a few times. I think Chad Sant went the one time we had the winged race, and him and Michael Nolf were throwing sliders like crazy, and it's so funny because like you watch Action Track and everybody's sliding everybody all the time, right? It's like, that's normal. At Hamlin, it's not really that normal, so watching them do it was like super exciting, and it shows that it can be done, but just the people that run there regularly are not experienced, I guess, with that kind of racing. So like they're normally, like if you drew like an oval and you drew like the optimal line to go around, that's how they run it every time. So like out by the wall, down to the the bottom of the turn and then out again. So like if you try to slide someone, it's really hard to, at least that's what it seems, because I've over the years it's kind of, I mean, Kyle can talk to it a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean, it's also difficult there because the track's so loose and like sandy. It never stays super tacky or heavy, so it makes it a little bit harder to get different lines to come in. Because if everybody goes to the bottom, then the whole top is just dust. So there's no way you can really jump up there. But I don't know. I still think it's a lot of fun because it's one of those that it slicks off so much. You really gotta pedal the car, and you gotta work for the passes. You can't just, it's not like Action Track where you can just run 2 lanes and bomb sliders. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you gotta almost diamond the turn to do it. But it's one of the only tracks that has a rookie division, so it does allow people to like ease into it a little bit, because the rookie division, at least this year, was 6 cars or less for the most part. In years past, like 2020, there was like, it's like 20 car field every week for the rookies. It was wild. Like I could now imagine just wanting to start in a 20 car field with those cars.
Yeah, starting micros can be intimidating because I mean every track around here has the core guys that are just fast, and every track gets a ton of cars usually, and yeah, it can be tough. But when you do get that good result, it just fuels your addiction more, I guess you could say, and you just get every week you just get better and better. So
yeah, definitely. Just winding down a little bit, I just want to talk about Speed Weeks real quick. Last year you won the championship. This year you were toward the front. I think you were in contention there a little bit.
Yeah.
But as far as Speed Weeks in general, do you like the format of going to multiple tracks, or is it kind of like, is it really too grueling? Because it's a long week, and it was kind of cool that you got to race against Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson there, which was super cool. And also, do you like the 2 nights at Lanco, or would you rather just that be the final night?
For Lanco, I've always liked Lanco, so I have a little bias. I do like the 2 nights at Lanco, but if you ask someone like Colin White or someone like that, they would say they cannot stand Lanco, and they think it should be even be on the Speed Week format. But I like Lanco. I think it separates the men from the boys. Definitely, you really got a cowboy up there, and
that's what I've heard from Nolf, and they said like, you got to be on edge, like right against that guardrail, like foot to like just really hammering, like you're on edge the whole time to keep up with everybody. That's got to be scary. But as far as the other tracks, did you like the other tracks?
Yeah. Going into the week, my least confident track was Bridgeport, actually, and I mean I was just hoping to make the show that night. I hate to say that, I hate to sound like this, but I really was concerned about Bridgeport, like because we went there earlier in the year to kind of, I guess, down on the car and just see how we were there. We finished 18th, like a rough 18th, like where you went backwards, and it just wasn't a good night. So I'm going in because I mean I've always liked Greenwood, I've always liked Action Track, of course, and Linda's. I've ran out a lot in Lanco, and so I kind of felt good at all those tracks. And just Bridgeport, my whole racing career in micros, I just never could really just feel comfortable and just have speed at. And that night, the track did have some moisture, which kind of helped me out a little bit, and it was definitely on the top there. And I don't know, it just worked out that night. I was able to get fast time in qualifying. I hit a good lap. I found like a real tight bottom line, and they did a lot of track work before the feature, and they really worked the top good, and it kind of built a curb, like just a moisture strip, and I was able to find that. Steven Snyder actually showed me it, and I could hear him. And you just hear him because at that place you're really turning a lot of RPM and you're going really fast. You can really got to use your ears and kind of hear where guys are at around you. And I was able to move up, kind of slow him down a little bit and get in front of him. And I just ran Bell down. He, of course, and that goes back to being a sitting duck when you're leading. You don't have a mirror or a spot or anything. So he was just running the bottom, just hitting his marks, and I was able to just blast around him, going into 3, and just keep the lead the whole race. I believe it went green to checkered, so we got some lap traffic, which made it interesting, and was able to time my sliders right and stuff, and was able to get the win.
That's gotta be a cool feeling, passing Christopher Bell. Like just
Yeah.
in general, man, because like that kid's, I guess that guy, he's great. He's really good. He's really good.
I felt honored when he almost ran me over when I was walking through the pits.
Like,
you know, I
please
can't
run me
imagine
over.
passing him.
What a good story. What a good story.
His whole crew's staring at me, and I'm just like, sorry, I'll get out of the way now, sir.
Yeah,
I really want to get. Oh, so good.
He threw like a slider attempt on me. I looked left and I saw him while we were in lap traffic, so that like lit a fire to me. I knew I had to get going there. And you see him and Larson and stuff. You just kind of got to remind yourself that hey, they're human and they're the same kind of people, but that really doesn't help. They're still Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. So
Yeah,
They're not actually human.
no, yeah,
Not, especially Larson. He's an alien. He has to be. Like I want to get Hamlin on the speed weeks next year. Like
yeah. I'd like to go to some different tracks. Path Valley. I wish we can go back to. That place is always cool.
That
and
looks cool. That looks really
try to
cool.
switch it up.
Yeah,
Because I mean, I do like Lanco, but I'll be all right if we go there one time next year. I mean,
Yeah.
the 2 nights.
I didn't understand the
pretty
whole
crazy.
2 nights thing. It didn't make sense for a speed week, but like as soon as they announced the schedule, I messaged them. And I was like, "Can we please try to figure out how to get to Hamlin next year? Because like, even though Hamlin is historically not the best 600 track, I would love to see all the good guys there to see what the possibilities are, especially with like just a 600 race. I'm sure Randy would really put the time in to make the track really good.
At the end of the night, if you think about it, it doesn't matter how it ends up because everybody's on the same track. Everybody started out with the same opportunity, so
Exactly.
the best still rise to the top. And if you're gonna find a way to come through the field, you're gonna do it one way or another. It doesn't matter what track it's on.
Even a place like Shellhammers too. I mean, that place gets pretty good when there's a lot of cars
man.
on it. And
It's just fun.
I've always liked that place, and
That looks scary.
I just
To
the
be
one thing that
honest,
would
I was like,
limit
how
it.
do they even fit these cars on
Yeah,
here?
the one place that would limit it now is the parking. Probably that's the only issue they would have. I mean, but the
That-
track does get good when you get a lot of micros there.
Did you go there at all this year?
Yeah, we went there once, and it was for the Golden Hammer, and I was actually won. I was kind of surprised myself. I won the Golden Hammer in 2019. I think it was the first year they had it, and I don't think we went in 2020, and then or 2021.
That's crazy.
I forget that. Around COVID, it kind of all gets blended together. I'm not too sure about.
Yeah.
Seriously.
And then this year we went there, and I was excited. I mean, that place, I've always liked it. It's a pretty cool micro track when it gets wide in 2 lanes, and we was able to win. I was kind of surprised myself.
Yeah. I guess it was my 3rd race in the micro. My first race was there in the micro, and it didn't go well. The right rear bar let loose, so I was just staring at the sky.
Yeah,
Um,
not good.
My 3rd race there was my 2nd time out at Shellhammers, and we went I think 15th or 16th to 7th, so they were pretty quick. That place is fun, and I just wish it was banked all the way up to the wall so you could get a little bit more of a top
said that for
lane
years,
running in,
yeah.
but
You get real top lane, like a mini Lanco almost.
be a little bit more like Millbridge.
That would
Have
be
you ever-
sick. Oh,
are you-
man.
Have you run Millbridge at all for any of the big races?
Yeah, we went the past 2 years. Well, the 1 year was the KKM Give
Yeah.
Back Classic, and then I think last year was like the 10,000 to win, and I made the show last year, and I think we didn't run too good. That place is tough. You gotta As again, you got to be on your A game, and there's a lot of
Yeah.
good cars there, and yeah, it's just I'm not the biggest fan of that place, but we're debating on whether or not we want to go in a few weeks here for the
Ah, the 10K.
Yeah, but I mean,
Do
there's a
it.
lot of eyes on it. It's a big race. You know, a lot of people are there. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's good.
Probably
Yeah,
would be a
big
lot of
area.
NASCAR guys there. I'm
Mhm.
sure it's down in that area. A lot of
Worth a
seems like a
shot.
lot of the truck guys like Sheldon Creed and Haley Deegan run there pretty not regularly, but when they can, I guess. But that's still top tier equipment, and the at least from the GoPros, man, they're really hammering that wall, and that's got to
Yeah.
be scary because it's like your foot's to the floor and you're just trying to drive it through. It's like, what the heck? Like
Yeah,
it seems crazy. It seems crazy.
It's
But,
tough to beat the guys like Brent Cruz and Bochelle. Yeah, Bochelle there because they got a lot of laps there, and they really hammered. Like Brent Cruz, I remember watching. I mean, it's insane how he just puts that thing up there, just runs it. It's
I forget who I was. There's one person that does that just posts on YouTube their GoPros. I think his name's TJ or something, and I can't remember his name. I'll try to find it here. But we're we're winding down here just a little bit toward the end. Is there, as far as sponsors and help in the garage and help family wise, like if you want to shout out like everything you want,
Yeah.
everything you can, just to
I'll go down the list.
yeah, if you got to list it out, let's do it,
Yeah.
man.
So for the non-wing micro, the one with the big Evo on the side, I just want to thank Kenny Groff for he's the one who supplied that car for us. Chris Schneider for working on it the whole year and make sure it's fast. And Hyper Racing, Mike Dicely, of course Evo Plus, and then Surebill Suspension, those FK shocks, which really turned our program around. Stinger Race Fuels and Independent Performance Engines, racing engines. That it's very strong motor we have in that car, and that helps a lot with winning races and running on top like it did that one week at Action Track. You can't have a slouch in the engine department if you want to go fast there. Then the wing car that Chris Snyder owns, that's a Hyper House car. We didn't really get to race that much this year, but that's when we did. And J engines with that was a Yamaha that I was talking about earlier, which is definitely on a long green flag run. I'd definitely be able to get going there with that Yamaha. They're known to be better on the top end. Chop Designs, that car was beautiful. I don't know if you guys saw any pictures. Like the wrap was like a red flake. Like Chris Schneider always has beautiful cars every year. Heath Hanley's run for him, but yeah, it was like a red flake wrap. And at the third race in, Jason Swavely flipped in front of me, and I destroyed the wing. So
Oh
it
no!
was kind of, and it actually bent the frame. So we were out for a few weeks. So we kind of
jeez.
hurt that brand new car, put a hole in the side, and Christian Ira was kind of, he likes his stuff to be perfect, and it usually is, but of course that had to happen on a third week. But it's still, he got it back, and it was still looking good. And again, Hoosier Tire Mid Atlantic, they supply us for tires, and we were able to make it through
that's
that
awesome.
tire shortage. Yeah.
That's got to be super helpful. Now, do you have like any fuel sponsors or anything, or is it kind of out of your pocket to do fuel?
Kenny Roth has Stinger Race Fuels, helps him out, so he gets a lot of barrels from him, so that helps out a lot. And then for the family-owned sprint car, Pioneer Pole Buildings helps us out. Dylan's RV, and the Gift of Life. My mom with her transplant, we are really involved with organ donation and volunteer a lot at the Gift of Life, and try to raise awareness for organ donation.
Awesome. Yeah, that's definitely super important. Appreciate that. Kyle, any closing thoughts or questions or anything?
No, just Christian, I guess just let everybody know where they can follow you and see what your plans are for next year and the future moving forward.
Christian Bruno Racing on Facebook. That's probably the most active. My personal accounts are Christian Bruno 4 on Instagram. I don't really get to post much on there, but you can add me on Facebook. Reach out to me, whatever. I mean, I'm at pretty much every track. Come up, talk to me, and yeah, hopefully we can keep winning races.
Cool. Yeah, for sure. We'll get prepared for. I guess get prepared for the Trenton Indoor Dirt Race if you're going to be on to that. That looks
very excited
super
for that.
sick. I want to try to get to there because that looked super awesome last time. That just looks super fun. Yeah, and then just get ready for next year. But I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here. It's not really short notice, but just appreciate you, appreciate you and everything that you do for racing, and all the good entertainment you give to all the fans and stuff for sure. But
Yep.
yeah, I guess this is Ron Thoma, Kyle Hervey, Christian Bruno. This is Over the Cushion, the Rip Little podcast, and we're live every Sunday at 8 p.m. and hopefully have a new guest every single week. Next week, I believe we have Joey Amantia coming on, and
There you go.
he's
That'll be a good
s-
episode.
He's also
That'll
a
be a good
600
episode.
driver, and the Big Show is going to be on.
The big show.
The Big Show is going to be here.
That'll
It's
be
going to
good
be great. It's going to be great. Then let me just see real quick because we have a few that are lined up, which is super awesome. But do you have it pulled up, Kyle, or can you pull it up super quick? I just want to just run down the list real quick. Actually,
Pull
no,
what
I can grab it. There we
Yeah,
go.
Joey. He's got a lot to say, so
Yeah.
you guys will
So
have to-
so next week is Joey Montia, and then we have Morgan Rochelle Beeler coming on the 30th. Then hopefully Brett Bieber on the 6th after his Worlds appearance. And we actually have Tanner Holmes coming on the show on November 13th, so that's going to be super exciting. And then from then on, we just kind of have to schedule people, but super excited to get most of November set up here. But appreciate you, Christian. Good luck at Trenton, and good luck for next season.
Yep, thank you.
All right.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
coming.
one.